You wake up each morning hoping for something different, but your thoughts are exactly the same. You drag yesterday's fears into today's possibilities. You replay old failures while standing at the door of a new chance. And then you wonder why life doesn't change. You say, it's the world, it's the people, it's bad luck. But what if it's not the world at all? What if the storm is not out there, but inside your own mind? James Allen reminds us, circumstances don't shape the man. The man shapes the circumstances. It sounds impossible at first. You say, how can my thoughts affect what happens to me? And then you remember, haven't you ever sabotaged your own chances? Haven't you ever talked yourself out of a dream before even trying? The truth is hard to swallow because it puts all the power and all the responsibility back into your hands. You carry inside you a factory of creation. Every thought is a tool, every belief is a blueprint, and every repeated idea is a brick. Day by day, you build something. But what are you building? You want peace, but you allow anger. You want success, but you entertain laziness. You want love, but you practice jealousy. You want freedom, but you keep yourself locked in by your own thinking. And then you say, life is unfair, but life only returns what you plant. You do not get apples by planting thorns. The mind is not your enemy, but it becomes one when you let it run wild. A disciplined mind becomes a trusted ally. It creates power, clarity, and calm. But an undisciplined mind is a storm that destroys everything you try to build. And here's the catch. No one can control your thoughts but you. No one can step in and clean your mental garden. No one can pull out the weeds of fear, doubt, or anger except you. So the question becomes, what are you willing to think about again and again until it becomes your reality? Your answer will shape your life. You want success, but then you think, what if I fail? You want to be confident, but then you remember every time someone laughed, doubted, or dismissed you. You want to rise, but you keep feeding your mind with reasons to stay small. And then you wonder why nothing changes. James Allen didn't speak in loud commands. He whispered the truth quietly, but it shook the foundations of the world. A man is literally what he thinks, not what he wishes, not what he pretends, not what he says in front of others, but what he truly, deeply, constantly thinks. You become the sum of those silent inner conversations. You may smile outside, but if your thoughts are soaked in fear, your life will bend to fear. You may dream big, but if you dwell on failure, your path will mirror your worry. And here's the conflict most people never see. They want change, but not responsibility. They want growth, but not discomfort. They want freedom, but not discipline. You don't get both. You don't get peace and poison. You don't get strength while feeding weakness. Your thoughts are seeds. You can't plant negativity and expect joy to grow. You can't water doubt every day and expect confidence to blossom. But once you realize this, everything starts to shift. Because if you planted the bad seeds, you can also plant the good ones. If your thoughts built your prison, they can also build your freedom. The mind doesn't care what you feed it. It will grow whatever you plant. So the only real question is, what are you planting right now, this very moment? You blame the outside world, but what if the world is just a reflection? You say they treated me badly, but then what were you already thinking about yourself? You say nothing ever works out, but then what have you been expecting deep down? You attract not what you want, but what you are. This is not magic. It's not superstition. It's cause and effect. You carry a frequency, a mindset, a mental pattern, and life responds. Not to your words, not to your hopes, but to your core beliefs. If you walk through life expecting rejection, you will see it everywhere. If you walk through life believing in your worth, you'll act different, speak different, move different, and the world will reflect that change right back at you. But here's the trap. You try to change your life without changing your thoughts. You switch jobs, you end relationships, you move to new places, and for a while it feels new, but then the same patterns return. The same fears, the same habits, the same failures. Why? Because you carried the old mind into the new place. The outer change means nothing if the inner world stays the same. James Allen said, men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. It's a hard truth, but a freeing one, because it means you don't have to wait anymore. You don't have to wait for the economy to shift, for people to support you, for luck to arrive. You just have to begin within. You think you're stuck? You're not. You're only stuck in the belief that you are. You think life is cruel? It's not. It's simply showing you the result of the thoughts you've been watering for years. And if you don't like what you're seeing outside, you must look inside, not to escape responsibility, but to claim your power. You are the author. You are the builder. You are the thinker. And no one can stop a man who chooses his thoughts with courage, with clarity, and with consistency. You go to doctors, gyms, diets, hoping to fix your body. But then you return home and feed your mind with stress, envy, and fear. You try to look healthy outside, but you poison yourself inside with worry. And then you wonder why the healing doesn't last. James Allen saw something most people ignore. The body is the servant of the mind. It reflects the dominant thoughts held quietly but firmly within. You think anger is harmless? It tightens the chest, disrupts the breath. You think fear is natural? It drains the energy, weakens the immune system. You think bitterness is just an emotion? No, bitterness becomes tension, fatigue, even disease. And here's the loop. You feel stressed, then your body reacts, then the pain scares you, and that fear creates more stress. But what if the loop could be broken, not from the outside, but from the inside? Peaceful thoughts bring a relaxed body. Grateful thoughts bring lightness to the step. Calm, steady thoughts create a face that glows. No creams, no filters. It's not magic. It's alignment. James Allen didn't say ignore the body. He said respect it by mastering your mind. Because the body can't thrive when the mind is in chaos. And yet, when the mind becomes clean, disciplined, joyful, even a tired body begins to rise, recover, and regenerate. But then you'll say, what about the problems I face every day? The pressure, the bills, the people? I can't control that. You're right. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control what you think about what happens. And that difference is everything. The body is your garden. The mind is the root. Fix the root and the flower will follow. You say you want success, but you move without direction. You work hard, but without aim. You start things, but quit halfway. And then you wonder why nothing feels solid, why your progress always collapses like a house without a foundation. James Allen gives the answer, quietly but clearly. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. You may be busy, but are you aligned? You may be active, but are you moving forward or just in circles? This is the conflict no one talks about. You want to rise, but then you avoid clarity. You want to win, but then you refuse to define what winning even means. You want a better life, but you haven't decided what that life should actually look like. And the mind without a purpose becomes restless. It jumps from idea to idea. It drowns in doubt. It seeks escape, not excellence. It becomes a storm, and you call it burnout. But once you link thought with a clear purpose, you become something rare. You become focused. Distractions begin to fade. Petty emotions lose their grip, and you begin to move, not by pressure, but by power. You say, I don't know my purpose. That's fine. Start with a direction. Start with a reason stronger than your excuses. Start with one line in your mind. This is who I must become. Purpose is not always grand. It doesn't have to be shouted from rooftops. Sometimes it whispers, get better today. Just today. And that whisper, repeated daily, turns into a roar. But then you'll be tested. The world will tempt you back into noise, confusion, delay. That's where most people fall. They choose comfort over clarity. But if you resist that pull, if you guard your purpose like a treasure, then your thoughts gain direction. And directed thought becomes power. Not just power to act, but power to endure, to persist, to rise, even when everything in you wants to fall. You say others succeed because they're lucky. You say they had connections, timing, chances you never got. But then how do you explain the ones who had nothing and still rose? No help, no wealth, just one thing, a mind that refused to give up. James Allen makes it clear. All achievements begin with thought. Not just casual wishing, but deep, burning, focused thought. You want greatness, but then you surround yourself with small thoughts. You want to build something, but then you question every step. You want success, but then you say, I'm not ready, maybe someday. And that's where you lose. Not in the action, but in the mind, before the first move is even made. Because here's the hidden battle. You start a goal with excitement, but then your own thoughts fight you. Who are you to do this? What if you fail again? What will people think? You call it self-doubt, but really, it's a pattern you've practiced for years. And thought by thought, you crush your own dream before the world even gets a chance to. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine thinking deliberately, daily, with purpose, with belief, with patience. You wouldn't just act differently, you'd attract different results, because every action would be backed by mental clarity. You wouldn't just chase success, you would begin to embody it, not because the world gave you permission, but because your thoughts made you unstoppable. James Allen says it like this: he who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it. Not might, not maybe, will, but only if the thought is held long enough, purely enough, relentlessly enough, that it becomes stronger than your fears. Achievement is not reserved for the lucky. It's built slowly, silently, daily by those who discipline their minds, not just to dream, but to hold the dream, even when nothing around them looks like it's working. You walk through life seeing what is, but then you wonder who dares to see what could be. You call them dreamers. You say that's not realistic. But then who built the bridges? Who shaped the cities? Who changed history? Not the doubters, not the critics. The dreamers did. James Allen doesn't just talk about achievement, he speaks of vision, of ideals so powerful they rewrite reality. And yet, this is where most people give up. They see a better future in their mind, but then they look at their current life and say it's too far, it's too late. But here's the truth. Every great thing you admire, every invention, every movement, every empire, began in silence. In the mind of someone no different than you. Except for one thing. They held on to the vision. You want to rise. But then you look at your past and say, that's who I am. You want to do something bold. But then you listen to those who've never tried. You want to dream. But then you ask for permission. And in that moment, your dream begins to wither. James Allen says, the greatest achievement was at first and for a time a dream. A seed. A quiet knowing. A flicker of hope in the darkness. That's how every miracle begins. But the world will test you. It will offer comfort instead of greatness. It will whisper, be realistic. It will mock your efforts when they're small. And you'll be tempted to give in, to shrink back, to settle. But if you can keep your vision intact, if you can see the invisible long enough, then one day it becomes visible to the rest of the world. This is the power few ever taste. Not because it's hidden, but because it demands consistency. To think the thought, to feel the thought, to live the thought, long before anyone else believes it. The dreamer is not a fool. The dreamer is a warrior of the mind. He builds before the ground is ready. She walks toward the mountain before the path is clear. And in the end, the world moves aside for the one who holds their vision longer than the world holds its doubt. Imagine a man born in poverty with no education, no family support, and no clear path ahead. Everyone around him told him he'd never succeed. But inside he held a single thought, a vision of something better. Day after day, he fought doubt, rejection, and failure. But he never stopped thinking that he could rise. That man was Abraham Lincoln. He failed in business, he lost elections, he faced heartbreak. But through it all, he believed in his purpose, he disciplined his thoughts, and he built his character. His mind was the seedbed of his destiny. James Allen's words come alive here. A man is literally what he thinks. Lincoln's story is not unique. Countless others, from Thomas Edison to Oprah Winfrey, started with nothing but a thought and a purpose. They were not gifted with perfect circumstances, but they mastered their minds. Look at the athlete who trains for years despite injury and setbacks. Her mind holds the image of crossing the finish line. Each day she thinks victory. Each pain is met with a thought of strength. The body follows. The mind leads. Or the artist who faces endless rejection but still paints because inside, the thought of creation refuses to die. Their external world was shaped slowly, painfully, by the constant stream of thoughts they chose to entertain. This is the core of Allen's teaching. Your life is your mental creation, and you are the creator. But then you might ask, how do I begin? Where do I find the strength to think these powerful thoughts every day? That's where practice begins. The battle is not won overnight. It is fought in the quiet moments, when you choose to push away fear, to replace worry with faith, to replace doubt with determination. I'll guide you through simple daily mental exercises, reflections, and reminders to help you retrain your mind to build the life you want. Start by noticing your thoughts, not judging them, just observing. What do you think about first when you wake up? What thoughts fill your mind before you sleep? Are they fears, regrets, or hopes, dreams? Next, try this simple practice. Every morning, speak to yourself with purpose. Say, "Today I choose thoughts of strength, courage, and peace." Repeat it, feel it. Let it shape your mindset before the day begins. When negative thoughts creep in, and they will, don't fight them with anger. Acknowledge them gently, then redirect your mind to a positive, constructive thought. If you catch yourself thinking, "I can't," replace it with, "I'm learning." If fear arises, tell yourself, "This is a challenge I can face." You're training your mind to grow new pathways, stronger, healthier, more powerful. Write down your goals and then imagine them as already real. Visualize yourself living that success. Feel the emotions. Do this daily because the mind doesn't know difference between real and vividly imagined. It begins to accept the vision as truth, and your actions follow. Surround yourself with reminders, quotes, images, music that inspire you to think higher. Avoid toxic influences that drain your mental energy or fill your mind with doubt. Remember, progress isn't perfect. Some days you'll slip into old patterns, and that's okay. What matters is returning to your chosen thoughts every time. This repetition is the secret power. Finally, be patient. Your mind is like a garden, not a machine. Growth takes time, care, and persistence. But with every thought you nurture, you shape your destiny. You are not helpless. You are not a victim. You are a powerful thinker, building your life one thought at a time. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more thoughtful summaries and insights, please subscribe me. Your support means a lot and helps me keep sharing great content with you. Thank you for reading.